Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Movie Related. Well, Mark sent us a movie and said, hey, why don't... sorry. Why don't you watch this movie called Away...
No, no, that's not what I did. I messaged you and I said, hey, I watched a movie. It's called Awake.
Yeah.
It's new on Netflix. That's what I said.
We should review it. So we're gonna review it. Sorry. Did I fall asleep again? Just thinking of reviewing it made me tired.
It wasn't that bad.
Okay, Paul, give us a quick rundown. It should take about a half a second.
People can't sleep.
There's a solar flare that interrupts all the magnetic parts of the Earth. Cars don't work, business is shut down, computer chips are fried, and people's internal clocks, they cannot fall asleep. And if we can't fall asleep, you can't regenerate, and eventually your brains swell up, you hallucinate, and you will die.
I thought the concept of this movie was a good concept.
Yep.
Sure.
A good concept for a certain genre of movie. Possibly a horror thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah. However...
Do I think they executed this movie to the best of their abilities? No. But I thought the concept was good.
Okay. Basically...
It was enough for me to think that I might like it.
Basically, we meet a woman with 2 children, and somehow she's involved in the military, science.
She was former military.
But she isn't right now. And her child turns out to be one of only 2 people that we know of that can actually sleep.
After the event.
After the event happens.
Yeah.
One is an older woman that they're taking to this base, and she's keeping her child a secret.
Because what happens when everybody's going to die and there's one person who might have the cure inside them?
They're being experimented on left and right, right? Because and as much as you say, well, that's horrible as a child, it's the species survival that's
right.
at stake here. And this is the big problem with me in the movie, was this woman knows that everybody on Earth is about to die, and she's really against this going. And I know
You're not a mom.
I've been a dad.
No, that doesn't matter. You're not a mom.
That's sexist.
But you would dissect your children if you had the chance.
I certainly would. Absolutely. Chop off this finger. Boom, here we go. Save humanity. Because if you think that 9-year-old girl is going to be able to survive on her own in your training of 5 days before you die, you have another thing coming. That's the stupid part of the plot. She thinks she can train this girl to survive on a planet with no human beings.
Okay, but
she's 9 years old.
Remember, she can't sleep. She has no critical thinking
skills. But this is right at the beginning.
She still can't sleep.
But it's only been less than 24 hours.
She's on the road trying to get away, and she says, okay, along the way, I have to take steps to prepare her because I know everybody's going to die.
Right? Yes, but just the fact that she's not bringing her child to there because she thinks she can save her child somehow was stupid to begin with.
I don't hate the movie for that.
It was false. It was a false point to make tension.
Listen, the story had to go somewhere.
I don't think so.
No, it didn't, because it didn't.
The one thing I don't like about this, it was a typical Netflix movie.
Yeah.
Like Stowaway, Woman in the Window, Awake. It was just slow, with a little bit of action for about 5 minutes, and then slow.
If that, like the driving part, they drive and then they talk a little bit. Stop. Talk.
And we know how Don feels about people traveling.
And when I saw this, I said, Mark, this is a traveling movie, isn't it? And that's what it was, an entirely traveling movie.
And they had to get fuel.
Right,
yeah.
now that must have really tore you up.
Like fuel. Come on.
Star Wars all over again.
Anyway, it all ends up at this big climactic point at the end of the movie, and it took like 10 minutes for them to figure out what happened, even though when the old woman said her first line, I said, well, that's the reason. And it took...
But that was also at the end of the movie. I mean...
there was the whole shooting scene and everything once we had that line.
You were pretty much at the end of the movie by the time the old lady was even introduced.
Okay, but I'm just saying, it took them to come up with that solution all this way. And everyone knew what the solution was. You knew what they were going to do, didn't you?
I didn't.
I didn't until about 5 minutes before they actually knew.
Mm-hmm.
So, you just want to rip on this movie.
You didn't know.
This was not
The old woman
movie.
says, I should have been dead months ago.
And they're keeping her alive and torturing her for lab purposes.
No, she should have been. And the little girl... But no, I knew exactly how this was going to end. I knew, and it was no surprise. Now,
Okay, from now on, before we watch a movie, Don has to write down and seal in an envelope
Yeah.
I can tell you the
what he
moments
thinks is going to happen.
when I know it's going to be that.
and seal the envelope, and then I want to see it. And you're going to write,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, can I watch part of the movie?
You can watch 10 minutes of the movie, and then you have to tell us how it's going to end.
I will watch the movie, and I will write down the time and the incident that I knew what was going to happen. So one of the things that I didn't like about the movie is it just tried to come up with like, oh, look at that. Isn't that eerie? Wasn't that creepy? Like when they're driving and all of a sudden all these naked people are on the road just standing there looking up.
Well, they're going crazy.
I know. But it was there, like, there's no point to anything. It's just, here's that scene, guys. And they drive through really, really slowly. And then there's a scene where the daughter is driving, and all their windows are down, and everyone's driving, and then they get attacked. And everyone knows they're going to be attacked, and no one has, and nothing happens. And it's just one of those scenes. Here's a scene, here's a scene, here's a scene.
Yeah, it was a big concept, and they shrunk it down to a little tiny piece of this big concept. But that little piece was not interesting enough to do a whole movie.
No.
Like when you have a movie like Outbreak, it's a big thing happening, and they don't concentrate on just this one little tiny piece that's really boring and stretch it out for what was it, an hour and a half.
And even when you get to the military base where they're trying to solve and save mankind, it's really boring. Like there's really nothing happening. She's tied up, and there's nothing really going on. And then the soldiers all start to hallucinate.
Well, everybody's hallucinating.
Yeah, but the soldiers start thinking they're under attack, and they
start shooting everybody.
Now, at one point, she's there with her two kids, and this Coast Guard guy comes in with a machine gun, pointing a gun at them. And he goes, "Who are you?" And he goes, "I'm their mom." And he goes, "Okay." Then we never see him again.
Well, because he wasn't a big part of the movie, Don.
The entire complex is full of dead soldiers on the ground. This guy's a military guy. And he just walked away? He left them all alone? From then, it was only them.
He likely got shot.
He had to.
He was the only guy left.
When you really hate a movie, you criticize everything.
No, when you bring somebody in at the end of a movie like that, you would think he would at least be around them.
On the credits, he was Soldier 43.
But why bring him in? What was that scene for?
Because the whole base was going nuts, and that was their interaction with the danger of the base.
No, but it was already over.
It was.
All the soldiers were dead. They rescued the kids.
It was just a point of tension.
But they rescued the mother, and all that is finished. It's over with. There's no more shooting going on and everything, and then they're doing this conversation. All of a sudden, there's a soldier.
Yes.
And the soldier just drops his gun, and nothing else happened. It was a scene thrown in for no reason.
It was a point of tension. The soldier could have either killed them or not.
It was not going to be. There was no tension. Did you think they were going to die there?
But that's what their point was. That was what they were trying to do.
See, this whole movie was a big concept, very poorly executed. Let's throw this in. Let's throw this in, where there was no continuity in the story. I did not like this film.
Really?
I did not like. I thought it was boring.
No.
They should have called it "Try and Stay Awake." At least I would have had a challenge.
Okay, so we know.
So in case you're wondering, it's not going to be a high score for me. Go ahead. What did you give Awake?
I will give it a 5.5.
I would be comfortable giving it a 5.5.
I'm about a 4.
Okay. I thought you were giving it sub 3.
It was a poor story, but a good concept. The acting was okay. It just, like I said, I hate movies that are just scenes. Here's a scene.
Wow, so you hate movies.
No. Think about it. Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad was just scenes, and then they edited it together as opposed to a story.
You know that's how they make movies, right?
No. Suicide Squad was not a cohesive movie. It was just scenes all over. That's the problem. They're making, hey, this looks good, this scene looks good, and this scene looks good. Let's work it in, as opposed to, here's the story, let's film the story, not the scenes. And that's the problem. There's too many big scenes in a movie, and then nothing else. So the high point of this one, at the whole thing, was the car accident at the beginning. Then we have 50 hours of driving, and then 20 minutes at the end of the military base. And that's the entire movie.
Well, thanks for joining us on another episode of...
So, check out on Netflix. I think it was on Netflix, right?
Yeah,
Check out Netflix.
New on Netflix.
The movie Try and Stay Awake. I think that's what it was called, or Awake. We'll shorten it to Awake. Not a big fan, and I'm never a big fan when Mark sends me a movie and said, well, I watched this.
I didn't even. I just said that I watched it, and you guys took it upon yourselves to watch it. It was just great. Fantastic.
Thanks, Mark. I give you In the Heights, and you give me Awake.
Love you.
Insert Jim video now.